How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry Episode 3. So, in the past couple videos, or I think it's the past couple, well, especially the last video, I don't know, it's been a little bit since I recorded this, but we've seen that Beatrice supposedly lived a life as a human, trapped at that location that we saw in the beginning of Episode 3, a supposed hidden mansion here on Rokkenjima that Kinzo, I guess, had built and everything for the sole purpose, I'm assuming, of trapping Beatrice in a supposed, like, homunculus artificial human body or something along those lines. There's a lot of questions still going on in my head, and that's why I gave myself a few days to kind of, think over it, see if there really is anything to grab from this, and I don't know. I can't really answer any of my glaring questions because there's a lot of things not lining up here. The voice of this woman who looks like the Beatrice that we've been having our lovely battles against here outside the scope of the story, her voice is different. She's acting a little different, and I don't know. Like, I feel like we're missing some sort of key component, but we may be coming across that key component here with Rosa. Rosa supposedly killed or led this Beatrice, this character here, to their death. I don't know. Anyways, we're following Rosa. Let's see what happens here. And also, I think this is the 50th video of my Let's Play here. So I think we're making some good progress. I don't know how many we're going to have. You guys can most definitely, put in your guesses still for how many videos this is all going to be. And the more I ramble, the more videos there will be. Blindly, randomly, I kept running on and on. Suddenly, I came across something I thought was an animal trail. I was very tired and had no idea how far I had walked, so at that time, I naturally took the easiest path. Yeah, she's doing this because I guess shit's been difficult for her. She wants to get away from everybody, wants to make everybody concerned, this and that. As I did, suddenly right before my eyes, a very, very tall fence appeared. It was a fence wonderfully adorned in a Gothic style. For an instant, I thought I had gotten turned around and returned to the original mansion. Of course, there were fences around the mansion to stop us from entering the forest, but this fence was decorated differently, and moreover, it was very tall. It probably reached a full 2 stories up. It was covered with ivy and created a mysterious, solemn atmosphere. Also, I want to put in a prediction right here. This mansion, this hidden mansion, obviously there has to be upkeep. If it is a mansion specifically for housing one person, even if it was just like a small house, I'm sure that upkeep would be a necessary thing. So I would like to continue to assume, and this is off of a earlier prediction, but I am cementing it here and now, that there are some servants, or at least one, either of the servants we've met or the servants we have not, that knew about this, and all the others were kept in the dark. Maybe, Genji, maybe he knows. At the time, I believed in the legend of the witch of the forest, Beatrice. I had been told that she was frightening, but some of the servants told me that she had sometimes help you if you respected her. Since I had little confidence in those days, I believed the only way I could be saved was by receiving her help. And here we are. That's why I thought what I did. I believed that this was the fence of the mansion belonging to Beatrice, the witch of the forest. Supposedly, yeah. I guess based on the information we have, this is the place. I thought that if I could meet with Beatrice, she'd definitely save me. So I decided to try going in, but the fence was very, very tall, and it didn't look like I'd be able to go over it. So I chose to walk around it. I thought that if I did, I would eventually reach a gate, but it wasn't that easy. The fence had an incredible length to match its incredible height, and no matter how far I went, I didn't reach a corner. It might have encircled a massive area. Or maybe I just had that impression because my child's legs made it very difficult to walk in the forest. Anyway, I could not find a gate for a while, and I started to feel sad, as though the witch had rejected me. I mean, there has to be an opening somewhere. I mean, you know, Kinzo gets in somehow. As I did, I eventually came upon a large tree, whose twisted root had bent the fence. It might get my clothes dirty, but if I crawled, it looked like I'd be able to sneak in.
そこが隠し屋敷だったの?
Yep.
あれが私たちの言う隠し屋敷なのかはわからない。
I mean, it is a hidden building, or a building other than the ones that we're aware of on this
で
island.
も少なくとも私たちの知る場所ではなかったわ。
And that's hidden enough for me. It wasn't as though I came out into a garden as soon as I passed the fence. I had to continue through a lot more uncultivated forest after that. Wouldn't you want to enclose the mansion's property a lot, you know, tighter? God damn, this music. My thing is that if you have the fence too outward, or the fence that's, you know, surrounding this perimeter, if you have the perimeter too unnecessarily large, there's a higher chance that you would come across the fence, and therefore come across this property. As I did, the forest suddenly opened up. And what appeared there was an unbelievably fantastical scene. To think that on Rokkenjima, where I thought only we lived, there could be such a wonderful mansion hidden away. I mean, this is the place. This is 100% it. A beautiful flower garden spanned the front of the mansion. It was a flower garden of a completely different design from the rose garden we know so well, and it was very lovely. Of course, the mansion was also wonderful. It was a couple sizes smaller than ours, but it was still elegant and adorable at the same time. Then, I saw her figure. I saw her sitting in a garden chair, positioned to give a view of the flower garden, wearing an elegant dress. It was that black dress embroidered in gold that we would later know from that portrait. I hadn't seen an elegant dress like that except in fairy tales and on the stage of musicals. For a person to be wearing it as her normal clothes, that in itself seemed quite fantastical. That mysterious scene was enough to make me lose my sense of reality. If someone had told me that it was a dream, I might have nodded obediently and waited to wake up in my bed. I mean, it's one of those situations, especially as a kid, where, you know, the scope of the world could be a little much, but also situations that you can't fully grasp. That's also going to definitely have your head spinning, even as an adult. Shit you don't quite understand, or things that you wouldn't ever expect or can't really connect together in your head will definitely leave you quite confused. I had forgotten to hide myself in my shock, so she eventually spotted me. At first, her expression was quite listless, but when she noticed me, her eyes opened very wide. It was only natural considering that a guest she didn't know had suddenly appeared. I lowered my head automatically, planning to greet her and apologize for entering without permission. But what's gonna happen here?
そなたは誰か?
Yeah, that voice, like, I don't know, we need to keep our eyes peeled for any other signs of like, okay, this is a totally different person.
新しい庭師なのか?
Those were the first words she'd said to me. I grew slightly calmer because I realized that we could talk to each other, because I hadn't been turned into a frog just by meeting her eyes like a terrifying witch in a fairy tale.
ごめんなさい。勝手にお庭に立ち入って。そなたは誰か名乗るがよい。
Always with the questions.
後宮ローザと言います。
後宮。おお、金蔵の一族の人間なのか?
Uh-huh. Very much so.
はい、金蔵の娘です。こんにちは。
I was a little surprised. After all, father was a great man feared by everyone, and yet she had spoken of him without using honorifics. So I was immediately terrified of her. Yeah, I mean, now that we think about it, there's a sense of like, okay, hold on, there's a big missing piece here somewhere, you know? After all, if she could refer to my fearsome father that way, she must be a witch with incredible power. Yeah, something like that. After staring at me curiously, she beckoned me to come over. Frightened as I was, I obeyed. After all, I thought she might really turn me into a frog. The closer I got, the stronger that fear became. After all, as I keep saying over and over, that woman in her dress in the flower garden in the mansion, that whole picture was so fantastical and beautiful that it seemed separate from reality. It probably wouldn't have surprised me at all to learn that she really was a witch. And I was really lucky. She hadn't turned me into a frog. I don't know why you keep going back to that. Is that such a thing to think about? Especially back in the 1900s, the mid-1900s, is that if you meet like an evil witch or whatever, you're getting turned into a frog? As I awkwardly stood there, stock still, she motioned to an open chair and urged me to sit down.
座るがよい。
Ooh, wait a minute, hold on, we need to... Yeah, look at that. Look at that right there. That's Beatrice, maybe, possibly. The fact that I'm questioning that is insane.
初めて訪れた者を庭へ招き、語らうのが、わら他に何の楽しみもないがな。
She's acting completely different. This is totally different. At least I feel that way immediately. And it's not just the voice. I mean, obviously, yes, the voice, but I don't know, the mannerism. As she said this, she let an unhappy smile show for just an instant. Because I was full of a strange mix of tension and excitement, I rudely asked her a question all of a sudden.
森の魔女、ベアトリーチェですか?
いかにも。
You know what? This is how that portrait came to be. This is probably it right here. This woman, whoever she is, became the face of the witch. Whether or not her soul really is in there or whatever the fuck is actually going down, realistically speaking, this is probably just some random ass person and not Beatrice, but who knows? Who knows? But hey, you know, they didn't just come up with her design, just painting and everything and like, oh, nope, there we go. That was exactly it. We got it right.
わらわがベアトリーチェである。
They had a source. They had somebody that they can actually look at and be like, okay, let's paint this person. And so the portraits came to be.
やはりな、ベアトリーチェは実在したんだ。
Yes, existed.
その姿はまさに肖像画の。
ええ、まさにあの肖像画の通りよ。
I know that this was probably a horrible day in Rosa's past and everything, but even the most horrible, even when your mind is blank, turned off and everything, you kind of remember some events. I've been there. I'm sure we've all had some really dark days, but the fact that she's now telling this story and actually like thinking back on it for the first time, unless she did in other episodes and we just didn't notice, I don't know. I mean, this is the first time that everybody is, you know, considering Beatrice from the get-go, the fact that she could have existed in some sort of way.
それで、あなたは彼女と何を話したの?
彼女はお茶を入れながら私のことをいろいろと聞いたわ。
Yeah, this is the first time she's having a conversation with somebody on the outside.
まず、
Other than like a
森を抜けて
gardener
や
or
って
I
きた
guess
ことを
maybe another
驚
servant.
かれた。彼女は柵の外には危険な狼がたくさんいると信じていたみたいだった。
There could probably be a lot of dangerous shit out there.
だから私が森を抜けてたどり着いたと言ったらとても驚いていたわ。どうやって狼から逃れたのか、ビスケットを渡して許してもらったのか、それとも魔法の街灯をかぶって
That works with bears, by the way, trust.
なんて感じのことを
You guys should give it a try. But don't quote me. Don't use me as like for citing your source or anything like that.
そりゃ確かに魔女っぽいわな。面白いお人や。
あなた黙って。ずいぶん昔だけど、お父様は森には狼が住んでいるから近寄ってはならないって。
ああ、そんなこともあったな。バカらしいね。日本の狼はとっくの昔に絶滅しているというのに。まさに子供騙しだな。記憶にねえな。そんな話。親父に聞かされたっけ？森には魔女だろ？
Yeah, that's the one that we hear a lot of, even by the servants themselves and also the grandkids.
狼なんて話聞いたことないぜ。
あんたがまだ小学校だった頃よ。覚えてない？そしたらあんた、むしろ狼を撫でてみたいなんて言い出すもんだから。
お父様はすぐに狼の話を引っ込めて魔女の話に切り替えたのよ。もうその嘘っぽいことと言ったら。
I mean, to be fair, a kid can say anything they want until they're actually faced with the real danger that is presented to them eventually. You know, if they test their luck, that
当
is.
時のルドルフには狼よりも魔女の話の方がてきめんだったね。よく覚えているよ。私の背中にしがみついた夜があったことを覚えているかね。
ルドルフさんにもそんな可愛らしい時代があったのね。
うるせえな。
Yeah, it's really, the table's really turned up against Rudolph here.
まあとにかくベアトリーチェを閉じ込めていたのがお父さんなら、同じ狼の話をするのは道理ね。彼にとってロッケン島の広大な森は後ろ宮家と愛人の屋敷という相入れない2つの異世界を分断する
柵の高さを考えると、どうやら親父殿は庭ごと
Yes,
丸々を座
100%.
敷牢にしたようだな。
With the context clues that we have been given, yes.
さながら二つの世界を分ける国境も同然だったのだろう。
狼はともかく野犬の類でもいたのではありませんか。そのための策だったかもしれません。ロッケン島に狼も野犬もいないわ。
Are you sure about that?
その策はベアトリーチェと私たちの間の国境だったんでしょうね。
No, that shit was a cage.
しかし狼の話を素直に信じるなんて、なんちゅうか純朴やな。
Well, yeah, she never got to go
わしの想像してい
outside.
た魔女とは随分違う感じやで。
She didn't know how the real world worked.
そうね、それは私も感じたわ。とても尊大で、確かに魔女のイメージ通りの人だったんだけど、どこかとても子供っぽくて、
Yeah,
なん
again,
ていうのか、
she couldn't really go outside and, like, you know, grow up like
世
everybody
間知ら
else.
ずな印象を受けたわ。例えるなら、本当におとぎの国の人みたいというか、本当に不思議な人だったわ。
それからどうしたんだ。親父の話とかは出たのか。
ええ、何日かに一度。約束されている日もあれば、ふらりとお父様が訪れては一緒にお茶を飲んだり散歩したりしたんですって。
So, there we go. Kinzo actually did disappear off somewhere.
私が訪れたその日はたまたま彼女一人だったと言っていたわ。
なるほどな。まさに愛人といったところだ。やれやれ、いくつ年下か知らんが、親父殿もやるね。
Well, hold on now. There's more to this story. Something actually did happen to this Beatrice, to this character here.
いかがわしい意味での交流はなかったと。バカね。男と女の仰せに色気がないはずないじゃない。
I mean, there's a lot of questions to be had when you
そ
look
れ
at
で
it
どう
this
した
way.
の？それから何の話を？
私の自己紹介をしたので、逆に彼女のことを質問したわ。そうしたら急に
Oh, I wonder
雰
why.
囲気が落ち込んでしまったの。
Not a whole lot of happiness in being trapped in an area for, you know, always and forever.
なんていうのか、とても気だるそうな、寂しそうな。私が初めて彼女の顔を見た時に浮かべていたのと同じ表情だった。
まあ秘密の愛人だからな。好き勝手に歩かれてお袋に見つかっちまったらことだ。きっと軟禁に近い状態だったろう。
But for different reasons than what we're thinking here, I'm pretty
綺麗なド
sure.
レスに綺麗な屋敷や庭があってもさぞや窮屈な思いをしてたんだろうぜ。そりゃ苦労もあったろうさ。それで
彼女はきっと何か悩みがあった。
Worried.
それを私に話したところで、私もとても悲しかったのを覚えてる。私と一緒にいることさえ忘れてしまったかのようで、遠くをぼんやり見ながらずっと無言でいたわ。私はきっと失言してしまったに違いないと思ったんだけど、謝罪の言葉すらも口にしていいような雰囲気じゃなくて、だから私も彼女が私と一緒にいることを思い出してくれるまで
Beautifully
ずっ
awkward.
とずっと黙ってた。
But no, given what we know, yeah, it's bound to be like that. This character doesn't even know who she really is. She doesn't have a life to really live. And then she muttered unexpectedly. What did she mutter?
柵の向こうには本当に狼などおらぬのか。
はい。
I mean, yeah, as far as we can tell,
狼
again.
なんて動物園でも見たことないです。
動物園とは何か。
ああ、いろんな動物が飼われているところです。象とかキリンとかパンダとか珍しい動物がいっぱいいますよ。
動物園に狼はいないのか。
This is so weird. You guys remember how, like, I was commenting a lot whenever Beatrice and Shannon were just kind of, like, hanging out? Like, that in itself was pretty weird, but this, I think, really takes the cake. Because we can't even tell if this is the Beatrice we know. It could be somebody completely different.
ならその怖くないかもしれんな。
狼がいたとしても動物はみんな檻に入ってますから安全です。だから安心して見学できるんですよ。
The mighty witch of the forest was apparently terrified of wolves. I remember it looked pretty funny to me at the time. Well, I'm sure she was given some ridiculous, stories that would keep her scared and trapped here even further.
それはわらわとどう違うのか。
She didn't know about zoos. I explained how fun zoos could be. But it was very difficult for a person like her who had never visited one to understand. On the contrary, as I explained it to her, her expression grew increasingly dismal. She couldn't see the difference. Apparently, even though she lived in an elegant mansion that was surrounded by a high fence and seemed to lack for nothing, she couldn't see how she was any different from animals shut up in cages.
わらわは何者なのか。
That's the big question
今
here.
はわらわのことをベアトリーチェと呼ぶ。それは確かにそなたの言うように偉大な魔女の名前らしい。
So she is fully aware of that.
しかしそれはわらわではないのだ。わらわには魔法など何も使えぬ。わらわはその魔女の魂を好みに封じられているだけなのだ。
Supposedly. That is supposedly what's going on here. But the reality of it might just be that there was never a witch, and Kinzo, in his, crazy bullshit mind, probably literally, I don't know what he did. I don't want to assume some things, but he locked somebody away to grow up here and to never be able to escape and live like a normal life. That might be the sad realization of what's going on here. There was definitely something odd about her. Beyond just being cut off from the world, it seems she truly believed that magic exists. Yeah, there's a few that think that. I think she talked about lots of weird things, but I don't remember the details. All I thought was that this might be a person to be pitied. She was unable to leave this mansion of her own free will, a prisoner without even realizing it. And she didn't know anything about the outside world, didn't even understand who she was. She probably vaguely realized that she was to be pitied. But since she didn't know anything, she seemed incapable of recognizing her own unhappiness. Long ago, when I told Nei-san that I felt sorry for a bird in a cage, she said this: "A bird that only knows about the inside of the cage doesn't long for the outside." But this wasn't a bird. She really was a person. But even if she had never been outside the cage, she understood that there was more to the world. Also, when there's people that are able to freely enter and exit, but not her, different little scenario here. Obviously, a bird in a cage, it's not really going to understand that, there is a world out there to explore. Yeah, definitely. And you can argue that probably with a whole bunch of animals. But here with humans, no, you're going to be able to piece some shit together pretty easily. So I invited her.
柵の外へ出てみますか?
Oh, this can only end well.
本当に狼はいないのか?
That seems to be all she's really terrified about.
いないですよ。絶対平気ですから。
They are straight up coming across wolves, aren't they?
出たいぞ。だがいつも門は閉まっている。
Well, Rosa got in somehow.
私が入ってきたところがあります。くぐり抜けられる隙間があるんです。
そこを抜ければ外の世界があるのか。
はい。
狼は本当にいない？
はい、いませんよ。
Just do it. What do you have to lose? Like, literally. I'd only planned on inviting her to go on a short walk, but she kept looking over her shoulder at the mansion as though she was seriously worrying over the decision. Then I learned what she was preparing herself for.
わらわは
Yeah, she wants a permanent
こ
leave.
こは嫌だ。
She wants out of here forever.
外へ出たい。そしてわらわが何者でこの世界はどうなっていてわらわは何のために生まれてきたのかを。
I didn't know what her life had been like before then. It was probably something she couldn't express easily. If it was harsh, she just had to say that she wanted to escape. If it was sweet, she just had to say that she'd stay. For example, maybe it was like how a hot fireplace on a winter day makes the air get thicker and thicker, giving you a headache. Even though you know you shouldn't keep things the way they are, you still need the courage to open the window and be tormented by the cold wind. She was starting to realize that she couldn't stay there forever. She was starting to realize that she had to go outside someday. But since she didn't know about the outside world, she must have needed courage to take that unspeakable first step outside. You know, something else I want to bring up, by the way, a little question in my head. You guys will have to refresh my memory or I need to go back. Doesn't Kinzo have like a connection to like an orphanage, or he owns an orphanage or something like that? And that's kind of where Shanun and Kanun came from and where they got their experience and all that, the skills they need in order to work as servants here on Rokkenjima. So could there be a connection there with this situation maybe? Something to think about. And despite that, she had made her decision. She had voiced her decision to go outside, a decision she was probably making for the first time in her life. I hesitated for a moment. Father had decided that she should live here. She was like Father's beloved bird in a cage. If I just let her escape, Father might scold me harshly.
見たい。え、何を？
動物園が見たいのだ。
Yeah, good luck. How the fuck are we getting off this island? I was just a little surprised when she finally gave me a gentle smile. Could that have been a far-sightedness brought about by her decision to venture out from her cage? It was a smile so gentle, I couldn't imagine that it had come from that once dark face.
そなたと話すと知らないことばかり出てくる。わらわは学校なるものもわからぬし、動物映画館も知らぬ、遊園地も知らぬ。そしてそれを知りたいと心の底から思う。そなたはわらわをそこへ連れて行ってくれるのか？
You know, the more we talk with her, the more I feel bad. You know, we completely erase everything we know about this character that we're used to seeing, Beatrice, and we just put on a whole new character here that we know to be trapped here by Kinzo because of his, you know, crazy mind and all that. And this is just a regular ass person that has been trapped here and wants to go and see the outside world for the first time. You kind of feel, you know, some sympathy. You feel bad. Like you want this person to be able to achieve those goals based on these things. But we all know something terrible is gonna happen. I don't know what. I was nervous about how I could keep it a secret from Father, but her face looked so happy, so I went along with her and nodded. But she seemed not to notice the meaning behind my vague smile. She seemed to believe that I'd really take her to all those places. We're a child. The fuck are we gonna do? She was pure and genuine. She'd probably never been tricked by anyone. No, maybe it's better to say that she had never learned how to doubt. Her smile was somehow radiant and yet pathetic, and I wanted to find a way to grant her modest wish.
わらわはもうベアトリーチェは嫌だ。わらわが何者なのか。ベアトリーチェではない新しい人間を始めたい。だからここから連れ出してほしい。もう紅茶もいらぬ、ドレスもいらぬ、金蔵とも二度と会わぬ。 ここよりわらわを連れ出してくれ、ローザ。
However, that responsibility was one that a child like me couldn't hope to fully bear. Exactly. Like, how do we fully achieve all this? Still, when I saw her serious gaze, along with that brilliant smile that made it look as though a possessing spirit had left her, I could feel a little courage start to rise up inside me. This was definitely something that would get me in a lot of trouble. And yet, it was definitely the right thing to do. I'll take her out, but I'll take her away from here. Of course, I won't be able to talk to father and not mother either. Should I talk to Onisama? Or Onesama? Excuse me there. No. What about that reliable Genji-san? No. Or, oh, that's right, what about Kumasawa-san, to whom I can always talk when I'm in trouble? I'm sure they'll be able to do something. Anyway, for now, I will take her out of here. And this was already a place she didn't want to be. I wouldn't be surprised if Kumasawa was actually in on this, so I took her to the crack in the fence and let her outside. She was all nervous, checking to make sure there were no wolves around, but once that fear disappeared, even just walking around this dense forest seemed to be fun somehow. Every time she found something, she'd ask me about it, and they were all really trivial things, excuse me. What's that flower? What's that leaf? And that sound, and that smell. It really was like the inside of that fence had been her entire world, because it was. So now that she had traveled beyond the limits of her world, it's strange. When I first saw her, I really thought that she was the witch herself, relaxing inside the witch's mansion. But now it was different, or actually the complete opposite. She had left a world she believed to be finite, and was overjoyed at the realization that the world was endless, something that she had never thought of before. So everything she saw was new. It was almost as though she was the one who had been thrown into a fairy tale. If she was Alice, then I felt almost like a rabbit holding a watch. To her, it was probably a really fun walk, filled to the brim with excitement. But I was actually at a loss of what to do. After all, I walked randomly to get there. Of course, I didn't know the way back to our mansion. And do we really want to go there? Should we try to aim for, the docks? Try and, get a boat going and, set sail out of here, maybe? There were no lights in the forest, and I hadn't brought a flashlight. I realized I would be in trouble if it got dark while we were still like this, and grew impatient. She was too innocent, and apparently she couldn't understand at all how frightening it would be to face the night inside the forest. But I was the one who brought her outside. I had to take responsibility somehow and resolve the situation. So I had a thought. Let's go out to the ocean for now. If we then follow the beach around, we should eventually make it back to the mansion. However, that was much more of a problem than I'd imagined. I didn't have a map or a compass. There was no way I could walk in a straight line through an uncultivated forest, and I immediately lost my sense of direction. That's why you look up at the sky, see where the sun is. I already had no clue which trail I had come by and was completely lost. Unless it's noonish, then yeah, good luck. At this rate, night would definitely fall before I had a clue of where to walk. But this was no time to cry. After all, the woman following behind me was so innocent and having so much fun. So I definitely had to lead the way through this forest, for the sake of her smile as well. Gritting my teeth so that she didn't see me looking troubled, I pushed my way through the woods, advancing down a path that wasn't a path. But goddamn, we're gonna make it a path. Then after going through various troubles, I fortunately managed to reach the ocean. At that time, I still didn't even have a clue where I was on the island. But for the time being, I was just a little reassured, realizing that if I just went around this way, I would surely be able to return to this mansion. Or return to the mansion. However, though I had reached the ocean, we were at the top of a rock cliff. The beach was far below us. I was tired from walking around the forest for so long, so I figured that an open area, even a rocky beach, would probably be much easier to walk in. So I suggested that we go down that rocky cliff somehow. It looked pretty dangerous, but I figured that there was no other way. However, Beatrice agreed to my plan without any doubts. Of course she did. Well, no shit. I mean, she doesn't know the risks. She doesn't necessarily know the levels of danger. Shit, she thought there were wolves out here. Now, apparently there's not. Even though she was probably older than me, she meekly obeyed, almost as though she were some kind of chick who thought I was her mother. I searched to see if there was some part of the cliff I'd be able to get down. Then I found a place where the cliff had fallen over and made a slope. It looked a little dangerous, but if I went down using both hands and both legs like I was crawling, I thought it'd probably be okay. We're also a child. We're also really fucking dumb here, I'm assuming, Rosa. So probably we don't understand the severity of how dangerous something could be.
気をつけないと危ないけど、とにかく海岸に降りて、あとは沿って歩けば、もう迷わずに済むと思うの。
うん。ローザがそうするのならそうしようぞ。わらわは迷うとやらも楽しいぞ。とても愉快だ。
Yeah, get ready for sleeping at nighttime out here in the forest. I'm sure that'll be fun. Get ready for bugs and shit to be bothering the absolute hell out of you. She really has no sense of danger. There was probably no doubt that she'd lived a life without discomfort, even though she knew it would get dark when night fell. She couldn't imagine how dangerous the inside of a forest could be without a light. Furthermore, it seemed that she couldn't grasp at all how dangerous it might be if she fell from the cliff. I warned her repeatedly to be careful. However, I feel like this is where things could go really, really bad. I cautiously examined our potential route down. It seemed to be quite a long drop. I think it might have been about 10 meters down. If you looked at it from the bottom up, it would probably have looked shorter than the roof of the mansion. But looking from the top, it felt almost like staring down from the observation room on Tokyo Tower. But Beatrice still appeared to be completely without fear. It felt as though she had never even been taught that high places were dangerous. But she never got on the roof of her mansion and was like, huh, wonder what happens if I jump forward with a lot of speed and try to get to the ground. I'm sure she has some sort of idea with gravity, no? Physics? Force? No, maybe she believed that she was a witch and that she could fly, so there wasn't any need to worry. I think she's kind of convinced herself otherwise, but I don't know.
うん、気をつけるぞ。下へ降りたら海があるな。そこに水族館があるのか。
Something like that.
いえ、この島には水族館はないですよ。
I mean, there's fish in the ocean, you just gotta go look for them.
でも、海にはたくさんの魚がいると思います。
そうか、魚はいるのか。そなたが話してくれた、クジラとかイルカとかペンギンとかはいるのか。
Whales and dolphins somewhere out there, probably, but penguins, no.
いえ、そういうのは水族館に行かないといないです。水族館は島を出ないとないですよ。
そうなのか。だが楽しみだ。クジラとはどんな魚なのか。
すっごく
Yeah, I
大
was
きな
gonna say
魚
they're
で。
mammals.
あれ、哺乳類かな。
She probably doesn't quite understand that she is on such a small island in comparison to, you know, the rest of the world.
それで潮を吹いたりします。
I think you can also still argue that she's still within a birdcage until she is completely off this island.
ほう。ならばイルカは？
頭のいい魚で。
Dolphins, I'm not sure on.
これも哺乳類だっけ？とても頭が良くて芸とかを覚えられるんですよ。
ほう。ならばペンギンはどうなのか。
Oh, those bitches can't even fly.
あれ、これは鳥類だっけ？
Fake ass birds.
なんだ。水族館なのにさっきから魚が出てこんぞ。
まあその魚だけでなくいろいろな海の生き物がいっぱいいるんですよ。
Actually, like, guys, the ocean is fucking terrifying. You know, deep sea divers and the like, you know, they are of a different breed, I feel. Like, they have courage beyond levels I could, you know, properly comprehend whatsoever. Because there is so much crazy shit, even shit that we haven't really ever observed yet, that are just in the deep, deep, dark absolute pitch black areas of the ocean.
それはとても楽しみだ。
Oh, here we go. Hey, I think I called it. She let out what might have been a funny, rushed and short cry. No, it was probably a scream. It came right out of the blue. Her body separated from the cliff and silently fell. I immediately wanted to say something to her. I wanted to say, didn't I tell you to be more careful? It was the thought of a child. It was how a child immediately gets mad when something bad happens, trying to find an excuse to show it wasn't their fault. Of course I said it out loud. Are you okay? Didn't I warn you over and over? She's dead, isn't she? She fell and... yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy.
それで崖から落ちてどうなったんだ。
彼女はどうしたんだ、ローザ。
This is probably something horrible to try and make her remember. I don't know. Trauma and all of that. I don't really know how well the mind can like hide away things that you don't want to remember because it is that traumatic. I'm not entirely sure what Rosa's got going on here. And yeah, that's why I asked the question, how did she not, you know, have something come up in the back of her mind regarding Beatrice whenever Beatrice was brought up in the previous episodes? Rosa fell silent. Her gaze dropped to her feet as though she were seeing through the floor into some disgusting memory.
死んだのね。
Ava's brutal words were the ones Rosa had most wanted to avoid, and when she was hit with them, she screamed in resignation.
死んだわ。岩浜だったもの。
Of course it
尖った危
was.
険な岩がたくさんむき出しになっていた。目を見開いたまますごい血が溢れ出して、たちまち真っ赤な絨毯を広げていった。
Yeah, she saw something bad, bad, bad.
声をかけたわ。揺さぶったわ。でも彼女は返事はおろか、瞬きすらも。私が悪いのよ。彼女はドレス姿だったのよ。あんな動きにくい格好なのを知っていたのに、私が壁木を降りようなんて言ってしまったから。彼女はすごい素直だったから、私の言うことに何の疑いもせずに従って。
いつまで死んでいるつもりか。いい加減に目を覚ませ。まったくわらわの預かり知れぬところで勝手に肉塊に姿を変えようって。
Yeah, what lovely questions to ask somebody that most definitely died, but now I wonder, did she... well, yeah, I'm gonna assume Rosa was able to find her way back home, but was she able to try and map her way back to this location to see if, you know, some help could get to her? I mean, there's no helping somebody who's dead, sure, but her body, you know? We don't want that just staying there. Oh, don't make that noise.
おめえのとこの太もも姉ちゃんとイチャついてただけだぜ。
Hey, no comment there.
それより、これはどういうことだ？
見たままよ。わらわは足を踏み外して転落し死んだ。
なんだと？19人目として登場しておきながら死んだだと。
Yes. So that is something that was in the back of my mind. I think somebody left a comment reminding me, like, hey, this is all in the past and we're worrying about, you know, the present. So there was an extra body here, but could you really argue that they were a 19th person outside of the 18 currently here today? Today, probably not.
ふざけるな。
Not her, at
そん
least.
なわけはない。ローザおばさんは子供だったし焦ってた。医者がいたわけでもない。多分死んだと誤解しただけで、お前は多分そうだろ。
It can't be true. She's got to be alive. Otherwise, how can she be here? I mean, there's also the huge question here of, you know, was this really Beatrice, you know? Like, what happened to this mysterious person that had to have the name Beatrice, to wear this getup, to be trapped here on this island, and be told that the spirit of a witch is within you? The kid-aged Aunt Rosa shook Beatrice's body, crying. I stared into that face too, but her eyes were still open, and it really was a corpse. I wanted to dodge the issue by saying something vague like she must be playing dead, but no matter how I looked at it, it didn't look fake at all. It really did look like she was dead. Beatrice had fallen upside down from a cliff of that height, and her head had been smashed against the pointed tip of those sharp rocks. Yeah, that would be it. That'd probably be right there with that impact. You would die, wouldn't you, after landing on those rocks from that height? But I couldn't accept it. No matter how dead she looked, she had to be alive. Then she went on to become this damn irritating witch. That makes all the inconsistencies fit. Does it? Grandfather must have kept her confined constantly in a hidden mansion. Then to take revenge for that, she committed several atrocious murders, Aunt Rosa probably just mistakenly thought she was dead, but she was actually alive, and as soon as Aunt Rosa left, would miraculously breathe again. Then she somehow lived on until today, and opened the curtain on her revenge drama. Otherwise, the facts don't fit together. Feel like there's gotta be a whole nother party involved here.
それのどこが生きているように見えるというのか。間違いなく死んでいる。
It's definitely dead, is what she's saying here, by the way. My theory that the 19th person was grandfather's mistress, a human Beatrice, had been defeated. I had planned to strike back from a defensive position, but... Yeah, how do things go from here, according to Beatrice?
すでに説明したと思うがな。そこに倒れているわらわは確かに魂はわらわだが、その体はわらわをうつしおへつなぎ止めておく肉の檻に過ぎなかった。そしてその肉の檻がこうして壊れた。それがどういうことかわかるか？
もうさっぱりだぜ。好きなだけ魔女っ子トークに興じろよ。チャカの代わりに聞いてやら。なんだ空っぽか。おい、紅茶のおかわりを頼むぜ。
Damn, Battler, you are all over the fucking tea and cookies now with Renove.
ロノエ、客人が紅茶をお望みだ。
Remember how, like, hesitant he was and, like, totally not wanting to get involved with the snacks in the beginning? How things have changed. When Beato clapped her hands, Renove appeared. Butlers sure are convenient.
おかわりですね。かしこまりました。どの程度お継ぎしましょうか。
どうせチャカがボリューム満点だろうからよ。半分でいいぜ。
それでもなみなみとお入れするのが
Then why did
告式でございます。
Why did you ask then? Even though just enough to wet my throat would have been fine, he filled it to the top. I turned my back to Beato, sipping it in silence. Okay, so Beatrice is saying that she got her soul, her spirit, whatever, trapped into a artificial human body, homunculus, whatever. They grew up to the person that we see as Beatrice today. But that was just another person, supposedly with another spirit or soul within them. And that spirit or soul is Beatrice. With this this person here dying, the soul escapes. And I guess she took on the appearance of the body that she was trapped inside of, just for, you know, showing herself off to those that want to see her, I guess. Minus Kinzo, obviously. Is that what we have going on now? Because the Beatrice that we saw in the beginning of this episode looked completely different. And I don't know what to think of that. Was that how Beatrice originally looked before she got trapped in somebody else's body? Rosa shook me. No, shook the corpse that had once been me. I hate that I'm like trying to figure out two different ways of thinking about this story in parallel, because what I'm suggesting is based off of Beatrice's, you know, vision, which is what we are trying to argue against. And then I'm trying to figure out a way to tie this all to a sense of realism. I watched over her from a short distance away. Oh, interesting. So I fell from there and died. For a while, I believed that was true. I saw Rosa spend a long time beside my corpse and then watched her as she ran away. Eventually, I realized that I was a different individual from the corpse. So this is the Beatrice we know?
そうか。わらわは。わらわか。
Yep, looks like it.
ようやく金蔵の戒めから逃れられたのか。
Eventually, I felt the memory returning. The fact that I was an endless witch who had lived for 1,000 years. Then I remembered that I had been summoned by Kinzo and that I had been imprisoned by him for a long time. While being imprisoned in a cage of flesh, I completely lost my memory as a witch. However, thanks to Rosa, if you could say that, thanks to my accidental death, I had now finally regained myself.
ローザ、そなたはわらわを死なせてしまったと後悔しているだろうが、わらわにとっては感謝したいくらいよ。
Okay, so can we all blame Rosa for this happening? I'm gonna say no. Honestly, that is, you know, an easy thing to kind of jump to, but I do think it goes further. I want to say everything is fucking Kinzo's fault. I couldn't see Rosa anymore. Did she go call a doctor? Or was she so terrified that she ran away? It no longer matters. That soulless shell no longer has any value. And yet I'm so frail now. Even this glorious midday sun is agony to me. Oh, time to disappear from this realm then. I destroyed my human form, then I changed it into several gold butterflies. Yes, with my magical power as frail as it is now, this form is easier to maintain. Well, yeah, I guess so. If you're something a lot smaller, then yeah. But she can, like, leave this world, right? She can go back to the purple dimension. Or whatever. To escape even a little from the light of the sun, I rode the wind and gently flew up the side of the cliff, excuse me. I will probably be a bit cooler in the forest, or maybe she is still trapped here in this world, with whatever form she's able to take on. Anyway, I'll take some time to recuperate and regain my former power, as I ponder how to make Kinzo pay up all he owes me. Yes, so we can blame Kinzo for all this shit. Dancing alone through the air, I looked down at the shore one more time. On the rocky shore lay the figure of what had once been me, the figure I would eventually regain. To regain the form of that physical body I had thrown away, it would probably take more than 100, 200 days, and it might require 1,000 days or perhaps even more. But she's gonna slowly work her way up to her revenge. However, I am the Endless Witch, the Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years. Waiting any countable day or countable number of days would be no problem. Oh, Kinzo. Regret that you are not here now. No longer will you be able to capture me. I'm not doing the cackles, by the way, guys. I refuse. Heavily. Okay, so there we have all that. Not sure what to really think of all this. I mean, it gives us a vendetta. Everything that Beatrice does is in a way a game, but also an act of revenge against Kinzo. She wanted to take everything back.
そなたを嘲笑するためにこの姿を取るが、本来は蝶たちの姿でいた方が魔力的には楽なのだ。
But here's a good question. If that is the case, why is it a game? Why is it not just pure revenge? Is that just because, oh, it's fun for Beatrice and she, you know, lives forever anyways, might as well make everything a game? She actually gives up, I guess, a possibility, a very, very far off possibility that if somebody can solve a riddle that was set up, either by Kinzo or Beatrice herself, if that riddle is solved and the gold is found or whatever, then she backs off. Everything will remain whoever actually solves the riddle. Why go that direction? Why not just take revenge?
蝶に姿を変え、森に紛れたわらわを探し出すことなど。だが、金蔵も指を加えているわけではなかった。
Oh yeah, I wonder how he found out about all this.
しかしわらわを捕らえる方法はすぐに用意はできぬ。そのためまずはわらわをこの島から逃さぬ方法、そしてわらわが力を取り戻すことがないよう
Was it the
即座に
shrine?
手を打ったのだ。
Did it have something to do with that shrine?
やれやれ、とにかく金蔵の執念深いことと言ったら、あれに惚れられるのもなかなかに辛いものだぞ。
Again, it's not love. It really much is not love.
蝶になったお前を逃がさない方法？なんだよ。森全体に蚊帳でも張ったってのか？
うん、それを魔法的に行ったのだ。そなたは知っておるか？船着き場の先の洋上に岩礁が浮かび、そこに小さな東洋魔術の祠があることを。
ああ、あれか。今年はなくなってたけどな。昔、修験者が作ってったとかいう祠なんだろ？
And it was supposedly taken out.
歪みのある島でございます。
It was supposedly taken out by Shannon by destroying the mirror that was with the shrine. So, you can argue either, okay, that was just something symbolic that she did that allowed it to be destroyed by, you know, natural cause, or it was just straight up destroyed by natural cause regardless of whatever Shannon did.
魔力的な存在や、それに類した存在を引きつけます。お嬢様も、そんなうちのお一人でございましょうね。紅茶のおかわりはいかがですか？
So she was just fully trapped there. There just wasn't doing anything. She couldn't go back to the purple flurp realm like this, and she couldn't really regain her form all that quickly. It was a long, long time.
それらは人間たちに害をなし、おそらく数々の不気味なる伝承を残してきたであろう。それを聞きつけた東洋魔術師が古代に設けたのがあの祠なのだ。長い時間を経てその力は失われておった。金蔵はそれを修復することで島の結界を蘇らせ。
西洋魔女のお前に東洋の魔法なんて通じるのかよ。
本来は相性が悪い。しかしわらわを封じたいという目的においてはある意味都合が良かっただろうな。
Plus, she was already weak. You know, whether or not it was directed towards her, I think she was just in a pickle anyways.
わらわも西洋魔術であれば心得がある。どのような結界であっても何かの手が打てたであろう。しかし東洋魔術は専門外よ。わらわが飲まんとするスープに対しスプーンではなく箸を与えられたようなものだ。
By the way, calling myself out here, I cannot for the life of me figure out how to use chopsticks. I was able to kind of use them because it's the way that you like, you know, hold it between like your fingers and your thumb and you like use your thumb and all that. I don't know what it is, but like I just can't figure it out. My brain too small to be able to, you know, control my fingers in such a way to pick shit up with chopsticks.
東洋魔術が強く支配する空間では、西洋魔術はひどく力を失います。ただでさえ、1000日はかけたであろう力を取り戻す時間をさらに長くかけねばならなかったのです。
Yeah, it just slowed everything else down. Honestly, if that shrine wasn't destroyed, then it probably would have taken Beatrice just a bit longer. But it seemed like she was getting pretty close to actually recuperating.
今こうして蘇ったって言いたいのか？
Wasn't it 19? Just about 19 years?
辛く長い年月であった。わらわは黄金の蝶の姿のまま長く日々を送り、金蔵の屋敷を見つけ、奴の日常を見守った。どのように仕返しをしてやろうか。それを思案することだけを日々の楽しみに生きてきた。わらわにとって幸運だったのはその間の20年間。
Was it though?
金蔵はわらわを探し出し、捕らえるあらゆる秘術にことごとく失敗した点だったから。
That's probably what drove him to the madness that we see out of him today.
人間に
There's
起こせる
absolutely
奇
no
跡の
luck in
数
whatever
な
he
ど
does.
たかが知れている。わらわをあれだけ長く捕らえていただけでも十分に身に過ぎた奇跡だ。そう何度も捕らえられてはたまらぬわ。
God damn it, man.
じい様が 前のゲームだかで言ってたな。
I swear, it would be a whole lot easier to just accept that, yeah, there's some magical bullshit going on in this world, but unfortunately, that is just not what Battler wants to go for.
魔法は確
It'd
率
just be
的
so
奇
easy
跡
to
に
just
宿る
believe in everything here.
みたい
It'd
な
still
こと
be
よ。
it'd still be fun, like finding everything out, but no, there has to be a way to piece this all together in some sort of sense of realism.
金蔵はわらわを再び捉える秘術を探るうちにそこに行き着いたのだ。そして13人の生贄を捧げることでわらわを再び蘇らせる儀式をついに編み出したのだ。
13人の生贄。
The epitaph.
それが魔女の碑文、生贄の歌でございます。第1の番に6人、第2の番に2人、そして第4の番から第8の番にかけて5人。
Yeah, we're just doing the Fortnite default dance on the third Twilight.
合計13人の生贄を捧げる禁じられた儀式。その生贄はランダムに決められ、儀式を執り行う金蔵自身も例外にはなりません。
As we saw in episode 1, yes.
バカ野郎。この島で起こったあの凄惨な殺人が全部おかしな儀式だって言うのかよ。
No shit. We've seen that both now in episode 1 and 2, especially in 2, because that is when Beatrice was ready to go. Midnight struck, and a whole bunch of goat people decided to storm on in. I'd had a vague idea that this might be the case, but I couldn't just hear that it was true from a witch and a demon and say, oh really, and accept it.
ロッケン島には18人いる。13人が生贄に捧げられ、5人だけが生き残る。
Yeah, and what happens to those 5?
そしてわらわは蘇る。
They die as well, right?
つまり、金蔵がわらわに再び会える確率は、だいたい3分の1といったところか。
Yeah, he was just off sleeping in his goddamn study for like all of the episode 2 day where people were dying and having crazy ass anime battles, especially with Kanun and Shanun. And he woke up and he's like, huh, guess I made it.
その確率に自らの命を落とし、残りわずかな寿命の最後の一瞬に。
そのふざけた儀式のために俺たち親族が集められたってのかよ。
Yep.
ふざけやがって。
No, the man's crazy. The man is absolutely batshit insane.
元より契約の通りだ。金蔵の生を終えるとき、貸し与えた黄金と、そして金蔵が生み出した財産のすべてを、わらわがもらい受けることになっておる。金蔵には散々に英雄を飲まされたが、今となっては、この1000年でも稀な時間だった。何しろ、魔女の天敵は退屈よ。
I mean, it was something different that popped up for sure.
Not
anything like really fun, but it was different. She was actually taken aback.
わらわは金蔵のゲームに乗ることにした。そしてまず、金蔵は後宮家当主の指輪をわらわに返却する。
What he does, he throws it out the window, and I guess in this case, Renove caught it and delivered it to Beatrice. But from what we saw in episodes 1 and 2, Beatrice just gets it.
わらわの黄金で復興させた家だからな。そして、13人の生贄を気まぐれに決めるのだ。そしてその過程で、お前たちが右往左往し、わらわに立ち向かおうと様々な人間模様を見せてくれることは、わらわにとって非常に愉快なことだ。わらわはこの金蔵のゲームを実に気に入っている。
No, I don't like this game. This game crazy. But it satisfies her boredom, and that's all that matters to her.
そんな魔法話は絶対信じねえぞ。じゃあお前は誰なんだ。お前は崖から転落して死んだんだろうが、魂が抜け出して蝶になって森へ。そんなのあるわけねえだろうが。だがお前はここにいる。誰だってんだ。お前こそが19人目じゃねえのかよ。
そうであるな。わらわこそが19人目であろうな。
She's just not a regular person. She's not necessarily human.
だがダメだぜ。全然ダメだ。
Hey, that's a Battler's line. You can't say that. Only he can. Oh boy.
このロッケン島に19人以上の人間は存在しない。
Oh shit. Okay, so here we go. Here's our red text that he really wanted. Battler really wanted this, and so did I. I really wanted this as well. There are only 18 humans on this Rokkenjima? What do you mean by that? Again, I'm trying to like pick out some words and shit, but again, probably not needed as much as I want to because, you know, translations and shit. Who knows what's supposed to be a little odd sounding and what isn't. But that definitely introduces the fact that there could be other people, just not human.
なんだってってことは18人プラス X の X は存在しないってのかよ
Unless, and this can really only be the only other unless I can think of at this time, the people here in the 18 are not necessarily human. Some of them, that is. I mean, there are a few. You know, Genji, he definitely sticks out, you know? We can actually go and check that out. If we go over to the... where is it? Actually, I don't think I can access it here. No, I can't. I can only access it from the menu. That sucks. Alright, well, never mind. No, it definitely had a few individuals lined up. I mean, they're all human. Battler's human, Kinzo's human, Genji, I'm assuming, is human. Maybe Maria's human. But obviously they've got other things going on here. Kanun and Shanun, they also have some other things going on. Can you really argue that they're human as they look and say and what their backstories lead you to believe are the 18 that we know of? All 18 of them, can we say for sure that they are all human?
そういうことになります。実にご愁傷様ですよ。しかし、お嬢様も手がお早いですな。もう少し泳がせて、最後にひっくり返すものとばかり思っておりました。さて、バトラ様、紅茶のおかわりはもう結構ですか?
No, he doesn't want the snacks anymore, now that he's received an L in this round.
18人の中に犯人がいるわけね。じゃあお前は何なんだよ。どうしてここにいるんだよ。19人目が存在しないってんなら、お前は18人の誰かの変装だって言うのかよ。
そなたにとってしぶしぶとではあっても、18人の誰かを疑うことが最後の逃げ道。しかし、わらわはここからが難しいのだ。そなたはなりふりさえ捨てれば、18人もの人間を自在に犯人に仕立て上げられる。その18人の駒をくぐり抜け、わらわを認めさせチェックメイトに至るのは実に難しいことよ。
You either choose the 18 that we know are human, but those 18 are unfortunately friends and family, or you go with whatever else here on the island is not human.
そんなことするもんか。18人の誰も疑わない。疑いたくない。またここに追い込まれちまったのか。畜生。畜生畜生。
三度に及んだそなたとのゲームもいよいよ終盤戦のようではないか。もう逃げ場はないぞ。お前の大好きな18人を疑いたくないだろう。
I don't know why it's such a problem of,
それをかぶってやるぞ。
you know, not suspecting even all the servants as well. Not to say that they're all, you know, fantastic and everything. Goda's very self-centered. Kumasawa, who knows what she's got up those sleeves, even though it's probably nothing except that beautiful laugh of hers. Genji, I love Genji, but it'd be stupid if I also wasn't even, you know, throwing him around there a little bit, considering whatever the fuck happened at the end of episode 2. Again, it sucks that we have to even think about any of the 18 being potentially evil and taking place here in these terrible acts, but who knows what the fuck is going on anymore.
なのになぜわらわを拒むのか。序盤は本のように、中盤は魔術師のように、そして終盤は機械のようにさせとな。 これより詰めるぞ。ゆっくりじっくり確実にな。
Hey, careful. The answer art comes up in like an episode and a half or so.
いや、それとも
We have one more episode after 3, and
畳みかけるのが良いのか。
we're in the answer arc.
そなた
Hopefully.
にはそれが似合うだろう。すでにそなたの苦手とする攻め方も知り抜いておるわ。
I mean, it's obvious what he's weak against. That's very apparent to everybody. Just don't want to suspect any of the 18. None of the family, none of the servants, just nobody there. Okay, I think I've recorded enough here. Looks like I have. I think we can get ready to wrap up this session. I don't know what to think anymore, guys. This past with Beatrice. Oh, wait. No, I know what's going on. Oh, the game is about to begin. We're seeing where everybody is at, what everybody is up to. One more time. Of course, all the adults are going to be in the dining room arguing. And, of course, these two are doing their thing. As is tradition. George doing his awkward as fuck proposal. But you know what? Kudos to him. I don't really know what to think anymore, guys. I know I've kind of been saying that. I think the clock just struck midnight. I don't know. Especially with this past that we've now been introduced to. Hard to say. Really hard to say. We'll just have to keep on grinding, though. Well, yep, everybody's still here. Just doing their thing. Arguing over a potential mistress, which, again, I'm happy that they're doing it. They're actually considering the idea of a Beatrice, quote-unquote, having existed or existing now. And that's different, you know? We haven't seen that before. Man, I can't wait to find out who's dying tonight. Who will be among the 6 to go bye-bye? It's probably not Ava. Maybe Rosa. Rosa might stick around, though. There seems to be a connection with Rosa and what's going on here, which is crazy that Rosa supposedly helped in freeing Beatrice as a witch upon the island to strike back, to play this game, to get her revenge, to get what she deserves. When does this end? Oh, here we go. Hello, Beatrice. There we go. Oh, and yep, let the games truly begin. Yet again. Can't wait to see the crazy tomfoolery that will go on here. Episode 2 really took things into the I have no idea how any of this could be connected to a sense of reality type of direction. Episode 1 was like murder mystery. So, what will episode 3 do? Obviously, I have to be careful with everything that I'm perceiving. Well, it is midnight. We're starting this this next chapter at midnight, so I don't think any deaths are occurring quite yet, unless we get to see this happen. Maybe, potentially. That would be sick as fuck. But yeah, let's call it here. This has been quite the long session. So we'll call it on that one. What chapter are we on? 6? Nice. All right. Okay. Yep, we will we'll get the game really rolling here for episode 3, whatever this entails, whatever crazy bullshit Beatrice decides to really pull here to see if, you know, she can get away with it and leave Battler in the dust yet again. More closed rooms? Potentially. More anime battles? Likely. Genji doing some crazy ninja shit? Possibly. I hope we see that too, because Genji's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, thank you all for tuning into this one. I have no idea what to think anymore, as per usual. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.